Last topic of the day, December 30th, 2024, LeBron's birthday.
Yep.
Just turned 40. Dude been in the NBA more than half his life. He got in at 18 and still going strong at 40. What?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking to someone about it today. As long as I've ever been watching the NBA, LeBron has always been in it. Like I remember when I was really little, and like Dad would have like the Bulls on when he was watching Jordan, but I only remember like a play or two. I really don't have any memory of like watching them play. And like, even then, I was like what 5, 6 years old. So did I really know what was going on? No. So basically, as long as I've ever been watching the NBA, LeBron has been
Yep.
in it. So like when he's done, it's going to be weird because like we've never seen the NBA
Right.
without him in it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that in terms of like my favorite memory of LeBron or whatever the case may be. My first memory of the NBA at all, like real memory. Obviously, I knew about it when I was a kid and it would be on whatever, but my first real memory of watching NBA was the 2004 Finals, Game 2, when Kobe hit that shot
Hmm.
against Detroit, Lakers in Detroit. That's the first time I really
Mm.
remember watching basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Yep.
was '04. And LeBron obviously came in the league in
Yep.
'03. So same. My whole
Mm-hmm.
life that I can remember watching basketball has had LeBron in it. So what is your
Yep.
favorite LeBron memory or most memorable? And you can give a couple. It doesn't have to just be one, but what are,
It's so tough,
it really
man. I mean,
is.
there's so
Mm-hmm.
many. Growing up as a kid when I was younger, it was that dunk that LeBron had on over KG when he
Mm,
dribbled between
mm.
Pierce
And
and Poe and
yeah,
then
yeah, that
came
little
around
in and out.
and
Yeah,
banged
yeah.
on KG. Yeah, that was like I watched that play on YouTube over 100 times. And then kind of from the next era, he yeah, I wouldn't really say I have like a favorite play.
Maybe play, maybe
Um,
game, maybe moment.
but the moment was it's hard to say. It brings pain
Yeah,
to
I know
my
what you're
soul
gonna
when I
say.
say it. But that game six at
Yep.
Boston in the Eastern Conference
2012,
Finals, 2012, 46 points, like
15
18
rebounds, 5 assists. I think it
rebounds,
was 45, 15, and 5.
yeah,
Yeah.
6 assists. It was absurd. That really hurt my
Mm-mm.
soul. But that was one of the best performances I've ever seen in my entire
On
life.
the road,
And
hostile environment.
on the road.
Ooh,
Yeah. Yeah. Down
down
3-2 in the
3-2.
series. Yeah. That again, yeah. Yeah. That one hurt my soul. But I gotta say after all, and then kind of in the next phase, the best moment I would say was 2018 NBA Finals Game 1.
Mate, he was a monster that game, bro. I've watched
Uh
that game back quite a few
fif-
times.
51, 8-8, 19 of 32 from the field, 3 of 7 from three, 10 of 11 from the line. Just monster game. And I just remember watching it. I was just in awe. I just could not believe the performance. And it was like from the get, I've watched that whole game from start to finish before. From the get-go, their first possession, driving in, layup. Like he wasted
Yep.
no time to just start
Head
attacking.
down.
And we've never seen him take over. I can't say never because in that Celtics game, he kind of did the same thing. But it's very rare that we ever see him just decide to just be like, you know what? We are winning this game, and I'm going to take us to the
Yep.
promised land. I don't care what I have to do. If I have to shoot the ball every single time, we are winning
Yep.
this game. And I just seen that he just had that look on his face. And it all seemed like it was all going to come to fruition until the end of the game when it all came
Yeah.
crashing down. They ended up losing by double digits in
Right.
overtime.
I
But that moment to me, up in regulation, was
Man,
the best basketball I've ever
because
seen.
I think he knew they were severely undermanned. They were
Mhm.
severe
Yeah.
underdogs. So he was like, I'm gonna just go. And typically with LeBron, he'll go into a series and kind of use game one as a feeler game. He's trying to get other guys involved, kind
Yeah,
of take
yeah,
it. He said, nope, we got a chance, and I'm just gonna go for it. And
yeah.
as aggressive as he was, and what he was able to do that game was, man, unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, you touched on the team that they had. The starters: Kevin Love, LeBron, Tristan Thompson, George Hill, J.R. Smith. That's a rough starting five. I can't even believe they made it to the finals. Off the bench, first player off the bench was Jeff Green. Not a bad piece. I don't know about first player off
Right.
the bench, but not a bad piece. Second player off the bench, Larry Nance Jr. No, he is not it. Third player off the bench, Jordan Clarkson. This is young Jordan Clarkson. Not a bad piece,
At the
but I mean,
time,
he went 2 of 9 in that game.
not the guy.
Yeah, and then your fourth player off the bench in your rotation was
Yeah.
Kyle Korver. So, yeah, he had no business even being in the
Right.
finals with that team. And I think they beat the Celtics. They just came off of
Yes.
Game 7. Yeah, so they just beat the Celtics in Game 7 to advance
That
to the
was another one
finals.
of those games
And
too.
yeah, it was. That one
Yep.
hurt my soul as well. And then the Warriors just came off of a Game 7 against Houston to advance to
Right.
the finals that
With
same
no
year.
CP3. They were down 3-2.
No CP. They were down 3-2.
And they walked them down as well. Yeah, man, I agree. And it is so tough to pick because there are so many. I want to throw out like 7 games right now that I can remember. One game that I think gets slept on and not talked about quite as much is, what was it, 07, the year they went to the, it was either 07, the year they went to the finals against the Spurs, or 05, the year after the Pistons won. They played Detroit in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think it was Eastern Conference Finals.
I think this was 07.
I think it was 07 too. And game 5, 25 straight and 29 of the last 30. And that's off a team that just won the chip. Knocked off the Lakers, winning 3 in a row. Yep. That was Lakers won 1-01, 02, 03. Pistons 104, and the next year after that, after Detroit won the finals, beat the Lakers, kind of ended their dynasty with Shaq and Kobe. Bron's able to do that, and that series, Detroit went up 2-0. They won the first 2 in Detroit, and I remember not really knowing too much about basketball then. I knew about this Lebron James. I called him back in the day Lebron. Called him Lebron James. And Detroit went up 2-0. I'm like, man, this series over. They won the next 2, Cleveland, and then that game 5. LeBron did that, 25 straight to end the game. That, to me, opened my eyes to who he is and who he became. And that was one of the most memorable games for me. I think he was awesome. And if you look at the team he had back then, too, they were pretty terrible. So the fact that he was able to do that against the Pistons, who was a defensive team at the time, that was unbelievable. He finished the game with 48, 9 and 7, and 2 steals. Nasty. 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Nasty. So, but I mean, I could go on and on and on. There are so many games that I remember from him where he's just, nasty, dominant.
Yeah, I remember you put me onto him, actually. I remember back in the day, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and you're like, I really like this guy in the NBA. His name is Lebron James. I'm like, Lebron James? I never heard of Lebron James. And then I seen a couple of games. He must have been nationally televised. I seen a couple of games, and he was just, I just remember he was dunking everything. That's all I remember. I was just like, yeah, okay, he could play. But I was always a Kobe guy, so it was kind of hard for me to get on that bandwagon because I was like, Kobe. But yeah, LeBron, different species.
And I was thinking about it today, too. You had mentioned even on here that he's your GOAT. He's my GOAT as well. I can't say that Michael Jordan is the GOAT when I've never seen him play. The only memory I have of Michael Jordan play was on the Wizards. So if I wasn't alive during the time, or if I wasn't watching basketball when he was, doing his three-peats, the first three-peat, the second three-peat, whatever, I just don't know how I could really pick him as the GOAT, despite how many, highlights or, whatever I've watched on YouTube. And then if you just look at the career accomplishments and how long LeBron's been playing, and the fact that he's 40 now in year 22, still playing at this level where he's easily a top 5 player, top 10 player in the NBA. I mean, to me, it's LeBron. My whole life of watching basketball, it's been LeBron.
Yeah, so I agree with you. But do you think that some of the other statistics that other people talk about factors into it? So say you had watched Mike play and he was everything that he's cracked up to be. Do you think that 6-0 in the finals weighs that much over 4-6?
I think the 6 weighs more over the 4, not the 6-0.
Not the losses?
Because would you rather make it to the finals and lose, or lose in the first round?
I would definitely rather make it to the finals, but I think that the argument that everyone else is having is that on the biggest stage, MJ showed up and performed and won every single time, and you can't say the same about LeBron.
And I feel that for sure. But to me, it's worse losing in the first round, getting swept in the first round. That means you're kind of like...
It is.
not a bottom feeder, but you're kind of terrible. You're kind of ass if you're going to
Yeah,
get knocked out or swept in
yeah,
the first round. So I could see the
yeah.
argument for sure. There's really only one finals where I'd say Braun didn't show up and play well, and that was his first one. No,
Yeah.
not his first one. His second
Second
one
one,
against Dallas.
Dallas.
First one, they wasn't gonna beat the Spurs with that team. Him
He
being so young,
he he
they
showed up
shouldn't have even
though.
been in the finals as a team, and he showed up.
Hmm.
The Dallas his second finals against Dallas, yeah, he didn't play well. He definitely didn't play well. But
Hmm.
all the other ones that he
Like
lost,
16 points
yeah,
per
it's
game or
pretty
something like
terrible.
that.
But the ones they lost, 2014 against the Spurs, when the Spurs made the historic amount of threes, I don't really know what you expect to see there.
Historic amount of
Yeah,
points. It was like the most points scored in
right.
the
I don't really
finals.
care who you are as a player. You're not beating that team. That team was just that was their year.
Hmm.
We know what happened the next year. The Warriors, when Braun went back to Cleveland, and Braun lost Kevin Love and Kyrie.
Hmm.
I don't know.
It still took him
Still
to six.
took them to 6. They went up 2-1. That was a game too. That game 3. That was what
game three.
another
Yeah,
very historic
that was one of those ones.
LeBron game. He was nasty
Mm.
that game. Obviously, they won in
Yep.
16. KD goes to the Warriors. They lose 17-18. I don't really know if you could expect anything else from him. So,
Yeah.
And
then you win in 20.
then he won in 20. Which people try to discredit that one. To me, that one's harder. To me, that one was harder.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have less pressure per se because you're not in an opposing arena with the fans there and whatever. But, being away from your family for all that time, having to quarantine, this, that, and the third, a lot of the other teams cracked, and he was able to keep his team together. But at the same time, too, they were the best team in the league before COVID hit. So they were well on their way before COVID hit, and they just kept it going.
And for what that was a weird year too, is there were no super teams that year. Like there was no the Warriors were broken up, the Celtics were still up and coming, the Nuggets were still up and coming. Miami still hadn't done anything like that. That was the first year that they made it to the finals with that.
I mean,
that
the Bucks, with Giannis and Chris Middleton, they were a top team that year. That was the Clippers year. That was the year that the Clippers had Kawhi and PG.
Paul George.
So they were the kind of new super team at the time, and they ended up blowing the 3-1 lead to Denver. So, but yeah, I mean, I get the 6 finals losses. I would rather make it to the finals.
But so the Bucks didn't even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
No, they lost to
Miami. I'm pretty sure
they lost to Miami.
Yeah. But yeah, crazy.
But yeah, I just can't believe he's still 40.
40 years old.
I can't believe he's 40 and still playing at this level. It's unbelievable. How many more years do you think he got?
1.
So this year and then next year? I think it depends on Bryce. I think because Bryce is a senior this year, I think if Bryce goes to a college next year and then is a prospect to be I don't know if I would say top pick or whatever, I think Braun may want to play 2 more to play with both his sons, play 1 year with Bryce, then be done.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it's 1 or 2 more years, then he's done. I agree.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to end up playing with Bryce. I mean, you can kind of see it. His body is not as enthusiastic to play basketball like it used to be, and they always say, like, if you don't love the game, that's how you know. If you no longer love the game, it's time to retire. And just having to wake up every day, day in and day out, and put in the work that he puts in. And at the end of the day, yeah, you're 40 years old and you're in season 22, but at the end of the day, you're still LeBron James. There'll be people coming for your throat every single night.
Now.
Like, you can't have a night. Now. So you cannot take a night off and just be like, I'm tired. It's late in my career. No one will care if I just have a bad night. No, they will absolutely care if you have a bad night. And you're going to make some young rookie's day if they dunk on you or something. And be like, I dunked on LeBron when he was still playing. He was still the GOAT at the time. You can't do it. So if you're not playing at an elite level, it is time to hang it up. And I think he only has 1 more year playing at this level.
I just think if he does continue to play, they just got to give him breaks like they just gave him. They just gave him 10 days off? Every 10 games, he should get 10 days off away from the team completely. Because once he came back, he was looking great, fresh. They've been winning. So I just think it can't be let him play 82 games. They got to really load manage him at this stage of his career. I don't think that's a bad thing for him or for the team. But we'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, 22 years, 40 years of age, still playing at this level is
Yeah.
you can't
It's
deny
impressive.
how impressive it is. So